Napoleon's Russian Campaign, the collapse of an empire. Hello, history enthusiasts. Today we'll delve into Napoleon's Russian campaign. This war, which began in 1812, marked the beginning of a period that shook Napoleon's empire. Napoleon's Russian campaign, known as the Patriotic War of 1812 in Russia and as the Russian Campaign in France, began on June 24, 1812, when Napoleon Bonaparte's Grand Army crossed the River Niemen to engage and defeat the Russian army. Napoleon's aim was to compel Tsar Alexander III to halt trade with British merchants, thereby forcing the United Kingdom to end the war. The official pretext was to protect Poland from Russian threats. In line with this, and to gain the support of the Poles and justify the war, Napoleon named the conflict the Second Polish War. The Grand Army was an enormous force consisting of 680,000 soldiers, with 300,000 trained in French territory. Napoleon led his army on long marches through western Russian territory, attempting to force the Russian army into battle. During this process, he emerged victorious from numerous minor skirmishes and the Battle of Smolensk. Although Napoleon hoped that this battle would end his march through Russia, the Russian army retreated further into the depths of the country while Smolensk burned. Consequently, Napoleon abandoned his plans to establish a headquarters in Smolensk and pursued the Russian forces instead. As the Russian army withdrew, Cossacks were tasked with burning villages, towns, and crops. The purpose of this scorched earth policy was to prevent French troops from foraging and resupplying from the land. These policies proved surprising and unsettling to the French, as they struggled to understand the Russians' determination to destroy their own land and harm their own people. This situation forced the French troops into a precarious supply system, unable to sustain a large army in the field. French soldiers, grappling with hunger and deprivation, often ventured out at night in search of food, only to be captured or killed by Cossacks. The Russian army retreated for nearly 3 months. Concerned about the constant loss of territory, Russian nobles urged Tsar Alexander to dismiss Marshal Barclay de Tolly from the command of the Russian army. Granting this request, Alexander appointed Mikhail Kutuzov as the new commander. However, Kutuzov continued his predecessor's strategy of retreat for 2 more weeks. On September 7th, the French army caught up with the Russian army near Borodino, about 110 kilometers west of Moscow. The ensuing battle, known as the Battle of Borodino, became the bloodiest day of the Napoleonic Wars. Over 250,000 soldiers fought, with more than 70,000 killed or wounded. While tactically victorious, the French army suffered significant losses, including thousands of soldiers and 49 high-ranking officers. The Russian army managed to slip away the following day, denying Napoleon the decisive victory he had hoped for. A week later, Napoleon entered Moscow. Despite expecting a delegation to surrender the city, he was met with resistance. The city's governor, Fyodor Rostopchin, ordered key points to be set ablaze. Although Napoleon awaited Alexander's surrender, it never came. After enduring worsening conditions in Moscow for a month, Napoleon was forced to withdraw towards Kaluga. Following the battles won by the Russian army, the disintegrating French army left Russia on December 14, 1812. This marked a turning point in the Napoleonic Wars. Napoleon's reputation was severely damaged, and French hegemony in Europe was significantly weakened. The Grand Army, composed of French and Allied soldiers, lost much of its strength. This triggered political changes, with Prussia and Austria breaking their alliances with France.